Alrighty. What is the Michael Stanley song? Let's get the show on the road. Mark Munch Bishop with you from NEO Sports Insiders, also 1480 WHBC. And I'm already getting a good vibe of energy here from this gentleman. Like I mentioned to some people, never an excuse. I have been up since 2:30 for doing the morning show today, but I guarantee you the energy level will be high. And I want to give a big shout out to and thank the Great Lakes Collectors Convention presented by Greeny Sports Card. This is a great show. You know that. You're here. You're part of it. Organized. And when I see guys that are my mentors and heroes and inspiration, like Jim Clark, voice of the Akron Rubber Ducks, and with a bag of cards, this and that. Jim and Coach, I don't know about you, but going through and seeing all this memorabilia, all the things, the cards especially, dang, I'm a little kid again.
It's the best feeling in the world, isn't it?
Isn't it cool?
Is there anything better than opening up a new pack, the awe and mystique of what could be there, checking the back to see if it's a one of something, it's like, there's nothing like it.
I like you're ready. In fact, you'll like this, and my wife will say, well, you're still a little kid, okay? Yeah. You act like it. But as a youngster, age-wise, there was a little delicatessen when I was in the Lee Harvard area. When I grew up in Slavic Village, if you had a nickel to go get cards, you usually don't get them because somebody would jump you for your nickel. But in the Lee Harvard area, we'd go to Lamboy's Delicatessen. And boy, if you could get 2 packs, that was amazing. But I remember just walking home. Well, I was about 183rd to Harvard, side street off of there. This was about 177th. And open them as you walked. And deep inside, you're like, I got to have an Indian. Got to have an Indian in there,
Yep.
And just peeling them back and looking at the cards. And it's amazing how you be attracted to players. Like when they would come to Cleveland, I'd say to my dad, hey, we got to go see the Indians site. Why? Because the Twins are coming in with Zoilo Versalles, the shortstop, and stuff like that. And I don't know about you, but I never chewed the gum because it was so hard.
It was the worst.
We would throw it down and see how much it would shatter and go from there. But Greeny Sports Cards, big shout out to them. Where the passions of sports fans, collectors, and sports enthusiasts collide. Great cards, great location, great show. And the Card Show Live Theater. This is very cool, too. Powered by Collectibles on SI. And supporting media partners, of course, Big Blue Rock, Odyssey, Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan, the Big Play Network, ESPN Cleveland, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Selby is Godcast, and Here We Go Brownies podcast. Coach, right off the get-go, and this is amazing. And I'm saying, well, you were born, but probably a toddler. In the 80s, I was called upon to do some Ohio State women's basketball games in Columbus. I was in Columbus at the time. And I started looking at the game saying, my gosh, this is a great game. And then as time went on, and I know they're coming back, I don't know what time frame, but would take 4 kids, would take them down to see the Rockers play.
Yep.
And I will never forget seated courtside with the kids, and one of the Rockers ripped down a rebound. And there was a pass, not quite a Kevin Love to LeBron pass,
right,
3/4, but a pass out to the wing immediately. The next pass went to the other wing on the over the timeline, over the midcourt line, and then a bounce pass to one of the women cut to the hoop for a layup. And I'm thinking, okay. And I remember jumping up and somebody coming over to me. I thought they were going to tell me to calm down. And it was one of the Rockers' assistants saying, we like you, you get it. And Coach, I was always taught, what are your options? Well, you shoot, you pass, and then you dribble.
Yep.
And I fell in love with the game at that moment. What would you say was your discerning moment for saying, wow, this women's game, I'm going to be a part of it. I need to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, so I was in high school, and one of my best friend's younger sisters was playing, and she could hoop. And my best friend and I, Greg Policy, ended up going on to play at Duke. And
now, where was this high school?
This was Christian Brothers Academy in Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
And
I know you're from Orangeman country.
Yep, I am. So Greg and I ended up taking his younger sister to an AAU tournament, and we coached it that weekend. And her team was fantastic. She had a player that went to University of Miami Hurricanes. She had a player go to Indiana. Sarah ended up going to Fairfield, and then so it kind of piqued our interest a little bit of just the level of it, that you could amass that amount of talent in one team. Fast forward to my freshman year at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia.
By the way, lovely campus.
Beautiful. City Line Avenue.
You don't know you're in Philly. And I'm a big city guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Philly people, they call city of brotherly love while they're so ornery sometimes. Am I right?
Listen, I met my wife there. I can tell you it's true.
Okay, but your wife is okay, right?
What's that?
Your wife is fine, though.
She's great.
She broke the mold.
Yeah, she did. She broke the mold. Or maybe I broke the mold. I don't know. But freshman year, we had befriended some of the women's basketball players. They needed practice guys for their practices. And so they asked if myself and one of my other buddies would come, and we did, and we loved it. And I particularly loved it.
How was the competition?
It was incredible.
Did it surprise you?
Yeah, they were incredible. I mean, I've never really played against 6'3", 6'2", forwards like that, that could hang and were physical, were tough.
Now, what year are you talking now?
I mean, this is 2005.
Okay.
And we had a blast, and the head coach at the time, who's still the same head coach, Cindy Griffin, a Hall of Famer. I mean, she's Philly at her core, and so she's coaching and yelling at me, and I'm like, I kind of like being back in that environment, and the players were really tough, and they were, great classmates as well. So it turned into a friendship, to rekindle a love of basketball, of playing, to wanting to be around a great coaching staff. Ended up working in their offices, and I was doing film.
This was fairly organic.
Yeah,
pardon me for cutting in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
wow.
I think, as they tell you, try a little bit of everything that you like in life and find out what you love. And I just kept gravitating to going to work and helping them, and the role expanded, and there I was off in 4 years, be a GA at Providence College in Rhode Island.
Wow. Ryan Gensler is the head women's basketball coach at the University of Akron. Pulled this out of my closet too, okay? Not that old. My zip shirt at the finest. Now, I had to hit you with this. Your resume is impressive. I mean, number one, just for being from Syracuse,
yep.
When you think Syracuse, and much to the dismay of my good buddy Dave Wallabaugh, former Brown and Orangeman, you think basketball before you think football.
He's one of the best centers I've ever seen in person. I went up to see him practice as a youngster.
Really?
He was drafted by the New England Patriots. Dick McPherson had drafted him circa, I don't know, maybe 92. But he was fantastic. And I used to write to him as a kid.
Come on.
And he used to write me back. Swear to God, my dad is a diehard. He was a Syracuse football season ticket holder since he was 15 years old. And when he got drafted by the Patriots and Dick McPherson, he quickly became a big fan.
I'm going to have to get, he's in my contact.
Is he really? Oh, gosh.
I'll have to get him to one of your games, okay?
Yeah,
I know it's a few months off. He's just a Hudson. So
really?
He's in Hudson.
That's incredible.
And I know his son, two of his sons played for Walsh Jesuit.
Okay.
And one was a hockey player, believe it or not. Two played football. One went to he was at Duke. And actually was up for the Remington in college.
Wow.
Ripped his knee up.
Oh.
And his other son was a big tackle. But you know what? It's funny because with the Patriots, if you're a Patriots fan, he recovered a fumble once and started running with the ball. And he says, whenever his kids get mad at him to do stuff, they pull the clip up saying, Dad, you look like a truck. He goes, I am a truck. I'm a lineman, but a good guy. But you have been at premier women's programs in your career, and I won't say it's ancient, but my golly, you're racking up some good accolades and a resume that's hard to beat.
I've been really blessed with really good people. I think you win with people, and the places that I've been at have been very competitive, very caring, but I've learned a lot from a lot of really good folks and a lot of good trees, and I'm very thankful for those spots. From all levels of Power 4, mid-major, small mid-major, Big East. It's been a whirlwind. As my wife, who was born in Michigan, she lived in Philadelphia, but born in Michigan, said the only
they were smart. They got.
Yeah, she said the only state she wouldn't move to is Ohio. We've now spent 7 years in Ohio. So.
You're fine. Ryan Gensler is head women's basketball coach at the University of Akron. Now, I've got to ask you this, and if I intrude, tell me. But you were at Illinois
Yep.
before you came to Akron. And a dear friend of mine, too, John Gross, was at
Oh,
Illinois before he came to Akron. Did Gross play City? Did you know him before this happened? Did he play City College to you?
I did not know him. A mutual friend of ours, though, Adam Fletcher, was John Gross's strength coach, and Adam was retained by Brad Underwood, and Adam's wife, Kylie, was our strength coach there. I was sitting at dinner on my interview here at Akron, and
Where was dinner, may I ask?
That's a great question. I can't even remember.
They didn't take you to one of the dorm cafeterias, did they?
No, it was very, very nice. It was so nice that I haven't been back. But John Gross had texted our athletic director at the time and said, "Hey, I got word from my guy Adam Fletcher, our strength coach. Ryan's all right. He'll do a great job."
How cool is that?
It was awesome. So John and Dustin, having their time there at Illinois helped alleviate a lot of the initial conversations of getting to know one another and from the shared experiences. So it's been great. John's been a tremendous asset for our university and for me personally.
Special coach, and he has had great basketball teams going from there. Let's talk about your basketball team. And there's so many things I can hit you with. I've got to hit you with this, though. Looking at the roster,
Yep.
and even during the season, okay, you've got young women from the Netherlands,
Yep.
from Finland,
Yep.
from Australia, from that faraway place, Ontario.
Yep.
One of my favorite towns in the whole state of Ohio, Granville.
Yep.
But for the gals overseas, do you actually travel to meet them? I know so much can be done on Zoom and that these days.
Yeah.
But you, as head coach, you get to take the travel?
I don't usually. I got to be honest with you. Most of them is by film evaluation
Okay.
and by Zoom. I think COVID taught me a lot on film evaluation because we had to.
Wow.
So, Lisa.
Out of necessity.
Out of necessity.
Yeah.
Lisa from Finland was with me at Illinois. I was her position coach, so that was an easy one to bring on over. Tanisha Clark was someone that we recruited, and how recruiting is, it's all relationships, right? So Tanisha Clark is from Ontario. She goes to Niagara Prep. Well, her high school coach was one of the very first coaches that I connected with when I was an assistant coach at St. Bonaventure in 2012. And he called me when I got the job and said, "Hey, I got this kid. She's flying under the radar. She was sick for most of the year. So no one really got to see her at her best. I've got some film of her at her best. But I just kind of need you to take my word for it." And we did. We needed some players at the time. And she was unbelievable her freshman year, trending in a great direction through 13 games this year. Had a season-ending injury in January, right before she had a career high at Ohio in a win. So it's funny kind of how you find these players.
Right.
I sent our assistant Jess Jenkins out to a lot of the FIBA events overseas last year. So she went down to Mexico City. She went out to the eastern part of Europe last year to get some evaluations. And then now she's been able to evaluate not only 19-year-olds, but 16-year-olds that are coming up. And then as this transfer portal emerges and there might be an international player, we'll have an evaluation on them from when we saw them. And I myself went to the NBA actually does a thing called Basketball Without Borders. And so
Where is this?
The NBA hosted it every year in the WNBA All-Star City. So last year was in Phoenix. And so they bring the top 50 women's basketball players in the world that are recruitable into one gym. And so I went down and you eval everyone. I mean, you might say, hey, that kid can play at UConn, but you've got to be able to evaluate that to our level, to D2, and find something in between.
Question for you, and Ryan Gensler is the head women's basketball coach at the University of Akron. And I had spent 3 weeks in Europe last year. I'm Slovak. My wife's Polish.
Awesome.
So we spent more time in Poland than Bratislava.
We just had pierogies for Easter.
Bratislava, Slovakia. But you know what? It seems everyone there, like if somebody started speaking Polish to me, I would know Nostrovia, okay, if I was putting out a shot of Citronówka. But other than that, everybody spoke some type of English.
Right.
Your player from Finland, your player from Netherlands, same with them? They can communicate?
No learning curve. They were tremendous. They knew it. They know it well. Our girl from Finland is actually a math major. She's the first math major I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
Absolutely
out of my league.
Out of you and I both. She's going to go do great things in Silicon Valley, and she's an economics major, double major with math. And I say that you're going to be on that show Billions someday, solving the world problems and cleaning up in the stock market.
Now, Coach, this is a tough one, and like you said, I never put people on the spot. I always leave a crack in the door open for you, But this came to me, which I consider him to be not only a great man but a great coach, a different sport, but from Sam Martigliano a few years ago.
Yeah.
And Sam said to me when analytics were coming in, and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I'm saying this, not you. Jim Clark and I were talking before that I think one of the biggest problems the Browns have is in Paul DeBattesta's laptop, okay? But Sam said to me, he goes, oh, sure. I'll look at numbers. I'll look at things, this and that, who so-and-so does against somebody else. I actually think baseball, because it's one-on-one sometimes, analytics means something in that situation. But Sam said to me, you know, Munch, my analytics, and they've worked my whole career, he pointed to his forehead, he pointed to his eyes, he pointed to his heart, and his gut. He goes, don't get me wrong. I don't spurn numbers, this and that. Coach, you use that on occasion too, because to me, if somebody is just going with analytics, they're not using any sports knowledge at all that they've accumulated, and it takes them. I mean, what are they? They're robotic then.
Yeah. Listen, we talked with Michael Lombardi. Michael Lombardi used to be the GM of the Cleveland Browns. When I first got the job here, he was still living in Ocean City, New Jersey, and he talked a lot about how to evaluate. And certainly there are some non-negotiables in some numbers categories, but it helped us understand how to get to no's faster, right? You want to get to an absolute answer right away. And so for us, we needed to find some different ways. Jim Clark's here, obviously, great Walsh connections here. We've signed a player coming up for this year, Izzy Callaway, originally from Copley, but had just played at Walsh. And we used analytics in our Division II, Division III, JUCO and NAIA analysis to filter out. And she was one of 9 freshmen out of, you're talking 1,000 players that qualify through some of the analytic things.
1,000.
Yes. And, it was assist to turnover ratio, it was 3-point percentage, it was points per, it was a lot of different things that we categorized. And I said, this is a kid, all right, so we've evaluated that. Now let's watch the tape and see what it looks like. And she did exactly what we were looking for and had all those things. And the last skill piece of that, which you touched on, which I think you heard a little bit last night during the NFL draft, do they love the sport? And
that's so refreshing.
That is the one bucket that we've had to go back to. Skilled, they've got to be skilled, they've got to be mature, and they've got to love basketball to play for us now. And I think those three things, like you said, will carry over. Now, I think that'll lead to the good stats that we worry about.
Ryan Gensler's our guest today, the head women's basketball coach, University of Akron. I was just given a 10-minute warning. You know how you have the 2-minute warning?
That went quick.
And it's funny because Jeremy Levine and Steve Greenberg, who put on the show, they said, could you go a half hour with them? I said, I'd probably go an hour once we get rolling. But, I mean, there's so much to ask you. Today I was down in Canton, and I stopped to get a cup of coffee with a friend at the University of Akron, and it's just worked out that way. But you know what? And I don't patronize ever. What a great campus that is.
Beautiful.
Were you pleasantly surprised the first time you went to campus?
Exceptionally surprised. When I did my on-campus and walked through, I was more surprised about how enclosed it was. And I've been at different campuses, and you need buses to get to North Campus, to South Campus.
You're talking my alma mater, Ohio State.
Yeah, and right, for as many kids as they have, it was refreshing that it was so walkable. When it's walkable like that, you're going to run into people, and those run-ins become conversations. Those conversations becomes friendships, and I think that's what that community is all about. And that was really refreshing and easy for me to sell. You've been to St. Joseph's campus, walkable in the same regard, and that's what I loved about it.
And I like how it rolls right into downtown the campus. Yep. And in sporting facilities, I mean, Infosystem Stadium, Summa Field.
It's unbelievable.
To me, is as good as a college football stadium that there is.
Agree.
You got the soccer stadium. And you know what? I liked the old buildings. And to me, nothing rocks like the Jar with a packed house and getting it go. I mean, I think it's a great building.
It's a great venue for basketball. I think our volleyball team cleans up in there as well. The Jar is awesome. probably new in the last 2 years. We've got a tremendous donation from Bud Wentz and his Fear of the Root collective to stymie a new practice facility, which is attached to our rec center, and that has been game-changing for us as far as availability to the court. So, having 2 places now to practice, but to carry that over into a good home atmosphere is incredible.
Coach, I know when we talked about players from overseas, players from across the country, you have a gal from Texas on your team.
Yep.
But is it a nice buzz in a local gymnasium when the word goes out like, psst, Coach Gensler's over there, Ryan Gensler? Because I know you check out the local talent too. Because to me, a school like Akron or Cleveland State,
yep.
You want the best players. But if you could tab one of those local young women and keep them home,
yeah.
it excites even more electricity into the program. I mean, they have to be able to play.
They do,
but you've been known to show up at local games.
No, it's been fun to get out and recruit, especially during the high school season. We run a great camp in the summertime that we sell out to bring local high schools to us as well, just to get players on campus and, different camps to bring, elite camp or a kids camp. I think as I get more indoctrinated into the community, we're trying to do more outreach just to present, our university to the locals up in Hudson, and then certainly downtown Akron as well. So we're actually running a camp this summer at Seton Catholic School out in Hudson for that age range, both boys and girls, to try to get some more buzz and more kids to recognize Akron in a different light.
Dude, that is fantastic. Coach, one last thing about the team and about the game. And you hear it at every level. Nothing you can do about it. Injuries.
Yeah.
Boy, that gosh dang injury. But I'll try to keep it away. I'll get some raid and keep it away from campus next year. 7 young women injured on your team.
Yeah, we had to
last
bring
season?
over a volleyball player, Ellen Kennard, over to help us. Even with practice, I think, it's if you're in it long enough, you're going to experience 360 degrees of things. In your great seasons, you're going to look back at some lucky moments, right? In some of your worst seasons, you're going to look back at some unlucky moments. It's just a part of being through it. Our kids are battling back stronger. It's helped adapt a little bit of how we had to play. We had some more ball handlers and kids that could pressure the rim a little bit get hurt, so we had to figure out some different ways to do it. And we actually spent a lot of time with the Cleveland Cavaliers, their staff. Kenny Atkinson, Alex Sarama were exceptionally inviting. We went up just down the road here in Independence to their practice facility in the middle of the season, invited us up, answered some questions, helped us. And I will tell you, part of their great success, Kenny is unbelievable, but their assistant, Alex Sarama, is top-notch in the league, thinks the game in a completely different way that they've adapted and really owned. And you can see that in a very refreshing sense of how they're playing. And that's helped us, and Jim can attest for the second half of the year when we didn't have our true horses, if you will, still were able to be as competitive as possible by playing, to some different strengths and being a little smarter with the basketball and getting some different movements with all 5 players on the court.
Now, not to get too personal, but a wife and two kids,
yep.
and a dog.
Yep.
What kind of dog? I'm a dog guy. I got 2 Aussies.
Yeah, he's what is he? Benny is a Maltese Yorkie mix. So, he's great. It's funny, he just got a haircut the other day, and the neighbor didn't even recognize him. So, he's about 16 pounds, 2 years old. He's great with the kids. My boys are starting to get into the local sports scene here and enjoying it. And there's just so much locally and just such a great, buzz about athletics in Northeast Ohio that they really love it. So, they're in it.
Mine are 75 pounds each, so there's a difference.
No lap dogs there, huh?
There's a difference there. Ryan Gensler, head basketball coach, women's basketball coach, University of Akron. Can't thank you enough. Quick preview. We got just 2 minutes left. Looking at the season coming up, has everyone recovered? Will they be recovered from their injuries?
They will,
and of course, you have new gals coming in, too.
We've got some new ones coming in, some exciting freshmen coming in. And then some exciting additions through the portal. The kids that were hurt are on their, pass back. Tanisha Clark cleared her 12 weeks, so she's back into the get-in-shape mode. And then Cameron Rhodes is back from her ACL. She'll be back full-time in the fall. Really exciting non-conference schedule. We're at Michigan this year. We did a home-and-home. We had Michigan come to us last year, and then we're actually going out to Notre Dame November 12th for
Whoa.
a game out there, which will be a fun reunion. One of our incoming freshmen, Kylie Bransford's sister, KK Bransford, plays at Notre Dame. So it'll be a fun game for mom and dad not to have to split too many gyms.
That's phenomenal. And, and we mentioned, too, Syracuse, St. Bonaventure. How could I not think of the Bob Lanier from St. Bonaventure, the legend in there?
Munch, his shoe is still on display in the Riley Center there. It's incredible.
Big Cat was truly the big man, wasn't he? Ryan, what a treat to meet you, man. And it's a pleasure having you. Very exciting stuff. Like I said, we can go on and on, but the time limit has come. Put it this way, I'm out of timeouts, okay? and the clock is ticking to 0.
Jim Clark knows what that feeling's like. We used him early and often last year.
Well, I appreciate your time, man, and nothing but the best in the upcoming season.
Thank you so much, Munch. Appreciate you.
My pleasure. Mark Munch Bishop with you live from the Great Lakes Collectors Convention Card Show Live Theater. Such a treat to be with you, friend. Ryan, thank you so much, and enjoy the show.
Thank you.